Can you feel the song in your hearts? Yeah, it's so beyond words that I just want to pause in silence for a moment. Thank you, Becky. We've been trying to find a way to bring her back. And yay, we're happy to have you with us. And the best is yet to be. She's quite a gift to our center. Thank you. So the title of my talk today is On the Threshold of New. How many people are feeling like they're ready for new? Something new in their life, right? Okay, good. A new day, a new month, a new year. I know you all have some other things going on in there that you could probably share with me. It's also a new decade. It feels very auspicious to be stepping into this next new now moment. And we approach it moment to moment and are so open to learn and grow as we go, right? Now, I often consult the children to find out, well, what are they thinking about this future and what are their ideas of resolution? You know, everybody in the past has had New Year's resolutions. I don't know if it's so popular. I heard a man say, well, why should I have a resolution? I still haven't finished last year's, so. But the children, in a couple of them that I looked at, one child said, well, I'm going to take less baths this year and conserve on water. Admirable, right? Conservation. Another child said, and I'm going to clean my room once a week. Now, this past year, I haven't cleaned it at all, but I'm going to try this year to clean it once a week. So, yay, Ross. So that would help the environment, at least in that household, a little bit. There's so many different ways that we can do it. And another child said, I'm not going to blame my baby brother when I wet the bed. Some of us have done all of these things. We haven't always been in our integrity about life, and maybe we've made a few mistakes along the way. And I was the oldest of 6, so my brothers and sisters had to suffer through some of the things that I probably blamed on them. But what do you have in your hearts that you want to bring in for this coming year? You know, you might want something like a new car, a new place to live, something big. But more than that, it's the little things, and it's right here that makes the biggest difference. You know, we can have all the things in the world and not be happy. But if we have love and kindness and the peace that we want to feel in our heart, it makes the biggest difference. And we're here to share who we are. We have gifts to bring the world. So in this new year, we want to bring our gifts. We want to bring our consciousness and make it even more than what we have been in the past. I'm not saying any of the past is bad. In fact, the past gives us opportunity to know what we actually want. I often choose a word for the year. Does anybody do that? I choose a word, so guess what? I had to look up what word I chose last year. Because I thought, well, let's see, was it joy and play? But it was generosity. And I thought, how have I been staying on target with my generosity? And it feels like it's been there, and yet I, on this coming year, will write that word somewhere that I can easily see it, and I won't have to look and see, well, do I have it this year or the year before? And that's just something that you might want to choose to do. I find it to be really helpful in a lot of ways. And something simple is good. The book of the month for the Centers for Spiritual Living is Thou Art That. Has anybody read it besides me? Okay, good. Then I'll give it to you in a nutshell. It's by Joseph Campbell, and it's a little complicated. So if you haven't read it, I'd say go for his hero's journey or Finding Your Bliss, and he is a comparative mythologist who many of you probably know. Joseph Campbell. He has done incredible things over the years, and I love his work. The gifts he has brought is about looking at all the different religions and how many of them can work together, how many of them have common messages that flow. And here at this center, we often do different ceremonies, and we might do our ceremonies a little different than the churches where we grew up. What he has learned in his research and studies is that it's an opportunity to not let go of religion and what we've done before. And I love that we had the Ave Maria and brought together in a new way of hearing it actually today. That by doing that, we learn to expand that message. We learn to expand the learning that it's more than just a literal what happened here and who said what, that it's how do we take it into our own hearts and use it day by day, not just in one way or on one day. So we had Christmas. Did everybody have a nice Christmas? Some of you may have celebrated Hanukkah, and if you have, that's great too. So we have the menorah here and honor all faith traditions. But in that statement of the name of this book, Thou Art That, means you are that. We are that. And it relates to the ancient Upanishads statement, Tat Pham Asi. And it's about knowing that we are part of the greater reality, and that greater reality is God. We call it God. When when Moses spoke to God at the burning bush, and he said, "And who shall I say is here? Who is speaking to me?" And God said, "I am that I am." And if you put a comma in that, I am that, comma, I am, is God saying God is a part of everything. And we, when we say I am, can pay attention to how we say that and what we are feeling in our heart and what we are claiming of our own oneness with the divine. Some of you may have seen the movie The Moses Code. And if you haven't, you can get it on YouTube. And it's all about that concept of the I am that I am. And I thought it was very well done and watched it again just recently. We showed it here several years ago, I think. The thing is, we forget. Now, maybe I'm the only one that forgets, but maybe you forget too. It's so easy to be out in traffic, to be speaking to someone who says something that sounds like, what? Or to turn on the TV and think, there are lots of different ways that we can be triggered to forget who we are. And it's our gift to go in and know who we are so that we can bring our greatest gift to the world. How do you do that? Do you just say, I'm going to start recognizing it? I listened to a podcast of a person who was talking about this very thing, and what she said was, think of God as the clay, and if God is clay and we're all pots that God has made or that we have been created from, then we are so much a part of that clay. Can you say, I am a pot, but I'm separate from God? I'm over here and God is there? We cannot. It's like the ocean and the drop. The contents are there. We might not have the all-knowingness. We have the wisdom of God that can come through us, but we don't have to be everything, but we are part of everything, and we are that part of the divine. So I just plant that seed for us to come to remembering of who we are and what we came to be. I have asked you all to, before I go on to the next thing, I wanted to mention that finding then our bliss, when we know that God is in us, to find our bliss is to know the inner peace and to empty out, as Hazel spoke of in her meditation, to empty out some of the old programs we've been listening to and believing, to be open to new, and be here now. Have you heard that statement? Often. Ram Dass said it and wrote a book about it. And Ram Dass, this past week, many of you may know, made his transition to that next life. He was such a teacher for us. I worked as a hospice chaplain for a long time, and it's the people that are going through struggles that often are my best teachers, have been. And Ram Dass taught and helped many people in spirituality around the planet. And then he had a stroke several years ago. And after his stroke, he said, oh my gosh, now I'm learning myself new. And this isn't easy, but the humility and the humbleness of going through something totally different. And we got to hear him at Prescott College a few years ago. It wasn't easy, but he continued to teach and speak his light into the world, and then now he's on his greatest next yet to be, whatever that is like, and we bless him and we thank him. And one of the quotes that he often said was, you are being yourself, your authentic self is the greatest privilege you have. So accept that you have that wonderful privilege. And I would like to invite you to take out your stones. Did you get stones when you came in today? If you didn't, we have a few more. You say, what's she doing? That crazy Karen. So, 2 stones. And I want you to choose which one and take one stone and put it in your right hand, knowing that this stone represents, and we'll go into our heart space with it. This stone represents something we're ready to release. And maybe there's been something over the past year or something in your life, an old belief system, an old thought that you've hung on to that you're ready to let go of. So we'll put that hand in the right hand, which is the releasing hand, and the stone of receiving and knowing and honoring and accepting what is new for you today, you can put in your left hand. It's one way to tangibly acknowledge that we're constantly moving in the flow of giving and receiving. It never stands still. Can't be. I can be in this moment and then I have another beautiful moment. But I can let go of some thought I've been carrying that I don't want to carry into this next moment or next year. And we can just try. So join with me just to bless whatever is ready to be released. Take a couple of deep, easy breaths and to know that it's come to be let go. And it's not bad. It's an opportunity. And maybe it shines the way we go for our next life, our next livingness, our next thought. So just bless it in that right hand and take the stone in your left hand and know this stone can represent what you're willing to open up to. Anything that's been holding you back for a while, just be open and willing to step into it. Sometimes it is to be more generous. Sometimes it is to be humble. Sometimes it is to be loving. Whatever that is, just know that you can gift it to yourself and you can receive it from Spirit. And there's no limits. I know you can go out here and get a whole bunch of stones. But right now, just one thing to receive and one thing to let go. And then bring both of them into both of your hands to hold together. And to realize that whatever is of the past really brought us to this present moment. And we've learned and grown from it, even if we're ready to let it go. And whatever we bring in is new, because we are never the same. We are God evolving within ourselves, sharing and being who we were intended to be. And if we forget, we can just remember again. So we bless the two stones together to know that all is well and to simply let it be. And we thank you, Infinite Spirit, for shining the light upon these stones and upon our hearts of what we give and what we receive, and of all beings everywhere. So the stones are for you to take. You can put one back into the earth or both. You can keep one. Sometimes it's fun to have a stone that just is a good reminder of, I can do this. I can step forward and do this. And maybe something's been waiting for you for a while. So thank you for sharing in that little exercise or opportunity. Things just come to me, and that just came the other night. And as I move forward into the service, I want us to, again, remember the creativeness that came, that is here right now, and that it's waking up all the time. There's nothing to hold back, so we get to do it in that way. And I read us in the Science of Mind magazine this morning, a quote by Joel Goldsmith: "There is nothing outside of yourself that determines your life. It's your consciousness." So my belief is consciousness is everything, and I want to keep staying in openness to the consciousness waking up in me so I can see that light everywhere and be it. Our world needs it in every single corner of the world. We can know that every corner is getting what it needs. We can know it in our nation, and our nation is part of many nations, so we can see it in our entire world. And it's a time for us to be good to Mother Earth, even more than maybe we have been in the past. It's time for us to learn and to grow. One quote that I would like to share with you is from Ram Dass, and I think we should go for the bliss, don't you? Like Joseph Campbell says, and Ram Dass says this: soul love. That's what souls do. Egos don't, but souls do. Become a soul, look around, and you'll be amazed. All the beings around you are souls. Be one, see one. When many people have this heart connection, then we will know that we are all one. We human beings are one with the planet. We will be one love, and don't leave out the animals or the trees or the galaxies. There is nothing separate. So let's go into that space of knowing we are all one, and that we see through the eyes of the highest consciousness, remembering that we are part of that God clay, that God amazingness that lives within us. We breathe it in and we breathe it out, and we know it's absolutely true. We can see it for our planet, every corner, every country. We can see it for our leaders who are learning as well. And we can know the truth that sets us free. Help us to know our next yet to be, and to live it in fullness, in wholeness, in the amazing spirit that we are here entrusted. God has entrusted us to live this life, and we spread it by being it. We can talk about it, we can read about it, and today we are living it in every single way. So we thank you. Thank you as we let it be and trust, and all is well. And so it is. Namaste.